You should probably forget everything you learned in history class, because the past, it wasn't just a bunch of dates and treaties. It was strange, it was surreal, and honestly, a lot of it was just plain weird. We're about to dive into the stories that prove truth is always, always stranger than fiction. So, what do emus, a dead pope, and outer space have in common? It sounds like the start of a really bad joke, right? But I promise you, the answer isn't a punchline. It's actually a doorway into some of the most unbelievable, but absolutely true, moments in all of human history. That's right. As completely wild as they all sound, every single story we're about to explore is 100% verified. We're going to peel back the curtain on the side of history that shows, without a doubt, that the truth is way more bizarre than anything you could ever make up. Okay, so let's kick things off with a classic theme, the timeless struggle between humans and the animal kingdom. But trust me, these are not your typical campfire stories, not even close. So let's set the scene. It's 1932, and we have the Great Emu War. On one side, you've got the Australian military, and they've got machine guns. On the other side, 20,000 emus that have been destroying crops. The mission was supposed to be simple pest control. A walk in the park, right? Yeah, wrong. Turns out, the emus were absolute tactical geniuses. They'd scatter into small groups, completely outmaneuvering the soldiers. After wasting thousands and thousands of rounds of ammo, the army just withdrew. They were defeated. An official military report summed it up perfectly. The final score? Emus 1, humanity 0. All right, fine. So emus are basically feathered commandos. But surely humanity could win a war against a smaller, less intimidating animal, like, say, a simple house cat. Well, let's see how that brilliant idea worked out. This is just a devastating chain reaction. It all started back in the 13th century. Pope Gregory IX decides cats, especially black cats, are basically devil worshippers. This leads to a massive slaughter of cats all across Europe. But what happens when you get rid of the main predator of rats? The rat population just explodes. And that population boom created the perfect conditions for one of the deadliest pandemics in human history, the Black Death. A truly horrifying lesson in unintended consequences. All right, so moving on from animals, we're now diving into disasters, and these are disasters so bizarre they sound like they were dreamed up for a cartoon. But for the people who actually lived through them, they were terrifyingly real. 35 miles per hour. That's a pretty normal speed for a car driving through the city. But what if I told you that in Boston, back in 1919, that was the speed of a giant wave of molasses? Yes, you heard that right. A massive storage tank just burst, unleashing a 25-foot-high wave of thick, sticky molasses. And this was no joke. The force was so powerful, it literally leveled buildings, killed 21 people, and injured another 150. For decades after, people in Boston swore they could still smell that sweet scent of molasses on hot days. And hey, if a flood of syrup wasn't strange enough for you, how about a plague of dancing? In 1518, a woman started dancing in the street and just couldn't stop. A week later, she's still going. A month later, hundreds of people had joined her in this bizarre, involuntary dance-a-thon. The city was in the grip of a literal dancing plague, and it was deadly. People danced until they collapsed and died from heart attacks, strokes, and just pure exhaustion. Okay, brace yourselves, because we are now entering the truly morbid and macabre section of history's weird museum. These are the stories that are as horrifying as they are strange. This might be the single most bizarre legal proceeding of all time. So Pope Stephen VI was so furious at the pope who came before him that he had the man's 9-month-old corpse dug up, dressed in all the fancy papal robes, and propped up on the throne to stand trial. They even had a deacon hide behind the corpse to answer the questions, and, big surprise, the dead pope was found guilty. As punishment, they cut off his blessing fingers and tossed his body in a river. You just can't make this stuff up. Okay, time for a quick science lesson. Just remember this word, ammonia. It's a really powerful cleaning agent, great for whitening things and breaking down grime. Just keep that in the back of your mind. It is the key to our next unique historical practice. And there it is. The ancient Romans, who actually understood the chemical properties of ammonia pretty well, used urine as mouthwash. It was so popular that the government put a tax on collecting it from public bathrooms. So the next time you see those beautiful Roman statues with their pearly white smiles, just, remember their secret ingredient. All right, let's try to lighten the mood a little bit, shall we? Here's a round of rapid-fire historical facts that are guaranteed to surprise you. And hey, maybe they'll even help you win your next trivia night. At exactly 9:02 in the morning on August 27, 1896, the Anglo-Zanzibar War began. British warships started firing on the Sultan's palace. Sounds like a tense conflict for sure, but pay really close attention to that start time. Because by 9:40 a.m., it was over. The entire war lasted a grand total of 38 minutes, which officially makes it the shortest war in recorded history. It took less time to fight than it does to watch an episode of your favorite show. When archaeologists first opened King Tut's tomb, they found a real puzzle, this perfectly preserved iron dagger. The problem? The ancient Egyptians weren't really forging iron back then. So where on earth did it come from? Well, the answer is literally out of this world. Modern analysis confirmed the blade was made from the iron of a meteorite, a dagger from the heavens. And for our final surprising twist, here's one of history's great what-if moments. In 1952, after Israel's first president died, the job was formally offered to none other than Albert Einstein. He turned it down, saying he didn't have the people skills for the job. But just imagine that alternate reality for a second. So, after that whirlwind tour of emu wars, molasses floods, and corpse trials, what's the point? What's the big takeaway from all this historical weirdness? Well, these stories aren't just fun trivia. They teach us that the past isn't some dry, boring place full of dates. It's vibrant, it's chaotic, and yeah, it's often hilarious. It's a reflection of who we are, brilliant, tragic, and deeply, deeply strange. So no, the world isn't getting weirder. It's really just carrying on a very long and bizarre tradition. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought. These are just the stories that have managed to bubble up to the surface. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other unbelievable, surreal, and absolutely true tales are still out there, just waiting to be discovered? The past is a very weird place, and we've only just started to scratch the surface.